I'm just going to wait a few minutes for people to come in. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to tonight's virtual program with the St. Louis County Library Chamber Project Performance and Conversation. I'm Melissa Bauer, Assistant Manager of Adult Services for St. Louis County Library. Before we get started, I just wanted to bring to your attention a few functions of Zoom in case this is your first virtual program with us. First of all, this is a webinar, so you should be able to see and hear us, but we cannot see or hear you. You'll want right now, go ahead and turn the volume up on your own device and select the speaker view mode on the top right-hand corner of your screen. Also, I'll be putting a link to our virtual sign-in sheet in the chat box, so please fill that out before you leave. In 2021, the library is partnering with a slew of local museum and cultural institutions like the Chamber Project. Next month, we have a variety of programs planned with the National Park Service, Opera Theater St. Louis, and the Missouri Historical Society. So be sure to check out www.slcl.org/events for the calendar of all of our upcoming programs. And remember, you do not need to have a library card or even be a resident of St. Louis County to attend our programs. So if you enjoyed tonight's performance, please tell a friend or family member. We will also be recording this program, so it will be on the St. Louis County Library's YouTube page by Monday. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you tonight's performance by Chamber Project St. Louis. Chamber Project St. Louis embraces the communicative and collaborative nature of chamber music to create interactive performances reflecting a 21st century audience, and creates partnerships with both traditional and non-traditional venues, all types of artists, institutions, and community. Tonight, we have a performance by Chamber Project Music, a performance of Chamber Project Music by Syrhea Conaway. Now, I will turn it over to Dana Hotle, Executive Director, to begin the program.
Good evening, everyone. We're so happy to be here with you tonight. Thank you, Melissa, and thank you to the St. Louis County Library for hosting this event and for everything the County Library has been doing. Well, what they always do, and especially the way they've really stepped up and served this community so beautifully through the pandemic. And we're so excited to be able to bring you some live music tonight from St. Louis. And we want to thank the concert sponsors for tonight, Donald Wilson and Nina Ware. We miss you and we can't wait to see you again at a performance in person. We know you're with us tonight and thank you very much for your tremendous support. I also want to thank really quickly the chapel venue for hosting us. If you've come to our concerts, you know what a wonderful space this is. And they were kind enough to open their doors to us. And Eric, the director of the chapel, has been tremendously helpful. And a huge thank you to Brian Darr, who's here tonight helping us with sound. This was a great team effort. And we're so excited about what we have for you tonight. So to get started, since we don't have a printed program, I want to introduce our musicians to you tonight. We have Jane Price on violin. I'm going to get out of the way, be sure you can see. We have Kyle Lombard on violin, Tim Hotle on bass, Marta Simiditchieva on cello, and Chamber Project Artistic Director and Founder Laura Reycraft on viola. And shortly, you will be meeting the star of the show tonight, Syrhea Conaway. Tonight, we present a program we're calling Silver Linings. It's a program of music entirely by Syrhea Conaway, and we look forward to later in the program, we're going to have a conversation with Syrhea and talk about her artistic process and the music and what this all means. And we hope that you have found in whatever device you're on your chat box so you can chat in some questions and some comments. And Melissa you can't see her, but she can see your comments. And she is going to be noting the questions and we will have time for conversation at the end. And we want to hear from you. It's what we treasure the most is talking with you about the music. So please find that chat box and let us know what you're thinking. And if you have any questions, we can't wait to hear what they are. So as we at Chamber Project started to develop a virtual program, we knew we wanted to really be mindful and conscious of our mission, which is to create community through a shared musical experience. And we thought about everything you have access to at home. You can easily access everything Beethoven ever wrote with, the click of your mouse. And there's so much music available now on the device you're looking at this moment. But what we realized you really can't access right now is local music that's being written now, the artists who are living the same experiences that you are living right now in their music, and how it will make, for a very relevant and hopefully very personal experience that reflects and expresses our current time. So we were thinking, well, how are we going to do that? And we wanted to continue our commissioning project, which we've been doing for several years, where we ask local composers to write music for us. And in late 2019, we reached out and asked musician Syrhea Conaway to write a piece of music for us. And we didn't know her at all, and she didn't really know us at all. And we had found her website, and we were listening to her music. She's a multi-instrumentalist. She plays all these instruments. She has this electric music thing figured out, and she writes these amazing songs, and we just loved what she was doing. So we asked her if she would be interested in writing a piece of chamber music for us. We had no idea if she was interested in things like that at all. And she enthusiastically said yes. And in November of 2019, we premiered a piece called Beauty Beneath at the Contemporary Art Museum. And it was a huge hit. The audience loved it. And we loved it too. And we've been eager to perform it again. And so that is the first thing you are going to hear tonight, is a piece called Beauty Beneath by Syrhea Conaway. And I want you to listen very carefully to this piece, because the second piece we're going to play tonight is Beauty Beneath remix. So when Syrhea got the recording of the premiere of her Beauty Beneath, she took it home and she started adding drum beats and adding herself playing along with it. She remixed it and produced this awesome music we were so excited about. And we thought, well, can we make that happen in person? Can we have the ensemble playing that with her? And so that is the second thing you're going to hear, is Syrhea is going to take the stage with the musicians and play this variation on the first piece. That's a really, really fun way to hear the development of a piece of music. We're then going to have a conversation with Syrhea, and then we are going to present the world premiere of a brand new piece of music by Syrhea called Silver Linings, and we'll talk more about that later. So I'm sure you're ready to hear some music, and we are so ready to play. We're so excited to be back together playing music again. And so please enjoy Beauty Beneath. Wonderful, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I hope you enjoyed that. It was such a treat. I had a moment in there of just the joy of hearing music in a space again, and we hope you're enjoying it at home, and we can't wait to play this for you again in person. Such a beautiful, beautiful piece. And so now we welcome to the stage Syrhea Conaway, who when she picks up that bass guitar like a superhero becomes Sina So Pro as her stage name. So we've had so much fun getting to know Syrhea. And when we first sat down and met with her about this idea, we said, you can do whatever you want, but we would just love if you joined us on stage. And the initial program is what you just heard. And then now we finally get the next thing, which is her on stage with us. So we're so excited for Sina So Pro's Chamber Project debut and her remix of Beauty Beneath.
We made it.
Did it. We did it. Great. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I was back there dancing. I hope you were all moving a little bit too. So that was really fun. Great job, everyone on stage. I think we're doing several things for the first time tonight. We're live streaming a concert for the first time. This is also the first time we've ever blended acoustic and electronic instruments together in our 13 years. So lots of firsts, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. We've been getting lots of great comments, and I'm getting texts, and everyone's really, really loving it. I better turn my back to the mic so you can hear me. But actually, we had a few questions I was able to see during the performance. So I'll even incorporate those right now. But first of all, congrats.
Thank you.
So awesome. I know that was something we had talked about several times.
Day.
The first day and several times. So it was great. It was really exciting. And actually, I'm going to jump off I have some questions here prepared, but I'm going to jump away from that really quick and just how many more instruments do you play? Because that was, well, if you include the computer, 4.
Well, typically those who've been following me for a while know that I kind of made a name for myself in St. Louis by live looping, and I would live loop guitar, bass, violin, keys, and vocals. And I would program drum beats. I'm still going to stick to those instruments, but of course, playing so many makes you to where you're not as proficient as you could be if you just chose one.
I don't know about that, but if you say. So we had a question about the instruments. Actually, someone asked, when you were playing the guitar in the middle, in the slow section in the middle, what were you using on the guitar?
Okay, so this is called an EBow. It stands for electric bow. And basically what it does is whenever I click it on, it sends like some kind of invisible electrical magnetic frequency or waveform where it vibrates the string of the surround. So where's the camera? It's right here. So if you put this, the outside strings of the string you would tend for it to be on, it will vibrate the intended string. And it creates this kind of bowy sound. It's not really like a bow from like horsehair, but I really like using the EBow with the guitar and blending it with strings. If you listen to any of my previous albums, I do that a lot. I should probably stop doing it.
No, I thought it was one of my favorite parts of the piece, and I've not heard it in person before, and it really is a cool, especially paired with the string bass. It was a really cool tone, like sound, that was really unique. So I really, really love that. We had another question about on the remix, because you wrote Beauty Beneath, and then you cut it up and spliced it a little bit and made it longer, and then you just did that. And then the question was, were they playing off new parts? Like, did you rewrite it for them, or are they following along with you?
So the basically, yes. Yes to I spliced up the music out of the drum beats to the track. Then I went back and notated what was generally on the track, although there were some parts where I couldn't do it exactly the way the track was because I would need double the people to perform.
Oh, we'll do that next time.
I would need but I did change some parts that the live strings are playing to fit what I really wanted to happen, as opposed to what I recorded with my field recorder. And once you record something, you can't change the timing of like each individual part. It's one separate recording. So I did have a little bit of fun doing that, but for the most part, that song came from the Beauty Beneath prior, and then it was created from that. So I don't even know if I really answered the question. That's okay.
So yes, the parts were written down, I think.
Yeah, they were notated out.
And they were changed, they were altered from the original, changed, and then applied to this. But like,
yes, like tempo sped up a bit, some of the notes changed a bit. Obviously the rhythms weren't in the original Beauty Beneath.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. So tell us a little bit about like your journey into being a musician, professional musician. I know it's a long story, but
so we'll do the Cliff Notes. I started playing violin, Suzuki method, whenever I was 7. Did a lot of recitals and state competitions, and this and that and the other. Taught myself how to play piano at 10. And then by junior high school, I joined the choir, and that's whenever it all kind of blew up for me. Well, piano, I had to kind of learn the bass clef because I was brought up on treble clef. Being in the choir and seeing everybody's part, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, really helped me not only visualize, but hear the music that was happening already in my own head versus, playing a piece on violin. You only have your one part. And you're not sure how that part interacts with all the other parts around it. So fast forward, 17, violin's not cool, stopped playing. And then came to St. Louis for college, ended up joining my first band playing bass guitar the moment I realized the strings were strung backwards and they were frets. Come on.
Frets make it a little easier.
Yeah, got me a little lazy on keeping up with other instruments, but yes. And then I joined local music here in St. Louis, I think in 2005, or I can't remember. Oh my gosh. It was a long time ago.
And did you study music in school?
I did. Not for college. I studied music, a bit in high school and after school programs whenever I was a kid. But no, I went to St. Louis College of Pharmacy. I'm not a pharmacist. I decided that was not for me. But
we're glad
no.
you changed course for our
Me
sake.
too. I'm so much happier. If you're a pharmacist, that's okay. We need our medication. Thank you for your service.
But we also need our music. So we're glad for you here to be here tonight. So we cold called you. I mean, we were just like, hey, you don't know us or anything about us, but would you like to write some classical chamber music for us, which is not the style of music you were performing at the time 2 years ago. So what was that like for you? Like, what happened, or what did you think about, or what was that experience when we?
So honestly, I felt whenever you all asked me to write a piece, I felt it was kind of like meant to be, because with my classical training, I think the music I would write, it would always kind of have this classical like edge to it. So I remember, Sinus So Pro actually started because I would write music for bands that I was in, and they would reject them. They couldn't hear what I was hearing. They didn't understand the song because it wasn't just like a structured A, B, C, B song over type of thing. So honestly, it made me think, wow, I think it's time for me to reconnect to this style of music that got me started in music as a child. And I was really excited and really grateful that I had this really crappy program. I still use the same program that I got.
She's talking about to notate the music, the notation software.
I was like 13 years old. It's called Noteworthy Composer, and I'd be that kid at home, and playing video games. And I did other things too, but if I was on the computer, I was probably writing music and not chatting on like ICQ or what's the other one? MSN Messenger. That's still a thing. AOL. Yeah. So I still have that program. That program needs major upgrades. I'm grateful for it because I don't want to do it by hand. I have really bad handwriting too, so they would not be able to read anything.
Well, it worked out. It all worked out. So, and what we're about to hear next actually is when we, in 2019, in the before times, when we premiered this piece after the concert, you said to me, I feel like this is just the beginning. And I was like, it is, because we're going to do it again, right? I don't know when, and I don't know how, but this is an ongoing collaboration. So when we ask about remix, we also ask, actually think the bigger ask was, would you compose a new piece of music sort of as a companion piece to Beauty Beneath? And we had this great conversation about 2020 and the pandemic and all the challenges we all have faced. And out of that came Silver Linings. And would you like to talk to us a little bit about the piece?
Yeah, so like Dana said, we talked about another piece that could be complementary to Beauty Beneath, and this was at a time period of 2020, was like April, maybe. Yeah. So we're still at the beginning of the craziness and the nastiness of 2020. I still had high hopes that of like, I'm going to be able to teach my summer camps to these kids. I'm really missing human connection. I was still very optimistic about our recovery as a nation. And so what you're going to hear in this piece is kind of like my emotions of 2020, but not even the whole year. It's from the 13th of March until June 3rd or 4th, right before George Floyd was murdered, simply because I tried to revisit my emotional state at that time period, and I couldn't handle it at the time. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't go back. So it's kind of like you hear this fear, this conversations with your friends, like, what's going on? I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And then just be like, Syrhea, stay positive, you can do it. And you kind of hear this kind of go back and forth. In a middle section, there's a part where it kind of feels like you don't know what to do with yourself. Time's just ticking by, and you're just kind of like, I'm going to clean again, I guess. I'm going to organize this again. I don't, just uneasiness with boredom, and also just panic with income and no, bills are still due, type of thing. And then by the end of the piece, it's kind of me thinking, it's okay to not be okay, and having to be okay with that feeling and sinking in, and allowing it to kind of take the wheel. And then I disappeared into nothingness for like 3 months.
And then we pulled you out.
Sorry, that was me.
We have all this stuff on the ground you can't see.
I couldn't see it either.
Yeah, it's
Sorry,
right there.
friends.
So, well, we pulled you out, and I think it's an experience we can all relate to of 2020, such a tumultuous time, and that there are these silver linings of finding new things even inside of this really challenging time. In
Yes.
ourselves, in our communities, and so on.
And I do want to say there were many positive things that happened in 2020. Hindsight is 20. I'm not saying that just to say that, but it's true in the sense of like, I see things now, and I'm very, very grateful for going through these things, because I do feel like it has made me a more resilient and stronger individual, and just learning how to just do the best with what you can. And, don't give up on your dreams, don't give up on your passions, take those risks, make those sacrifices, take care of your mental health, take care of your physical health, things that I wasn't really paying attention to if we hadn't have full stopped. And I realized that, but it's hard to see that whenever you're in it, not saying we're still not in it,
Right.
but it's not exactly the same.
Yeah, it keeps on changing. So I think we're ready for the world premiere of Silver Linings by Syrhea Conaway. thank you for that beautiful performance. And thank you, Syrhea, for that beautiful piece of music. And I love the ending, especially. I think it's the perfect way to end the piece and the program of music. But we really would love to hear from you. And I think Melissa can.
Yeah.
She's back. Okay, great. So
Everybody.
she's gonna shout the questions at us.
Yeah. Okay. So,
See what we can.
Syrhea, if you don't mind talking a little bit about some of the composers that influence you.
Man, I knew I was going to get this question. Okay, so I was I was a big kind of a movie nerd and video game nerd as well. So whenever I was asked as a kid, what do you want to be whenever you grow up, I would be like John Williams. And people would look at me like, what? And I'm like, John Williams. Like, they didn't know what I was talking about. And I don't think that part of me ever entirely left. I might have just, pursued other things and did other things. But John Williams as a child was kind of opened my eyes to how you can create environments and characters and moods. I mean, he was very extreme with it. Love you, John. With music, and by high school, I was introduced to this composer, a vocal composer by the name of Eric Whitaker. We sang Water Night and Cloudburst, and they're such beautiful songs, such beautiful pieces. And he really kind of introduced to me like the idea of just these massive cluster chords where literally every single note in the scale is being performed at once, and it still sounds so beautiful. As far as like anything else that might be out of the ordinary, honestly, I really liked listening to different styles of music. I wasn't like strictly, I only listen to these genres. Like at home, I mean, I became a big, I think due to Wayne's World, Queen. I remember like doing a performance in 4th grade, singing all of Bohemian Rhapsody by myself or with my neighbor friend. And so whenever I learned in like 2000 or 1999 that Freddie Mercury had already been dead, I was devastated. I think I saw it in the book. I was like, what? Nobody told me. So Queen, like Earth, Wind and Fire, Rolling Stones, and then you got like, some of the hip hop tracks of Houdini. I really admired Houdini, and shout out to Ecstasy, RIP Ecstasy. My dad would tell me that Houdini was one of the few rap groups that used real instruments. They didn't take from previously produced tracks and sample those. They had live instruments playing. So I remember always kind of listening out for that. And yeah, I have a pretty eclectic taste, like Waylon Jennings. I love music. That's all there is to it. If it makes me feel something, I'm into it.
Thank you. Syrhea, do you have any advice for an adult who's picking up a new instrument, maybe one that they learned when they were a child, or maybe they want to learn how to play a stringed instrument for the first time?
The only person stopping you is you. That's all I have. The only person stopping you is you. Don't care about what other people think. I know it's hard, believe it or not. These guys might be able to tell you I suffer from a little bit of imposter syndrome, like that self-doubt kind of gets in your head. Just ignore that part. Just be like, no, I'm not listening to you. I'm gonna do this because it makes me feel good, and I want to, and that's all that matters.
That's great advice. Syrhea, would you mind talking a little bit about how looping works?
Okay, so looping basically, think of a round or a cannon. You have that song, even row, row, row your boat. Row, row, row your boat, row, row. Same kind of idea. So you sing the whole phrase, row, row, row your boat, gently down the stream, life's what a dream, row, row. Same kind of thing with looping, except for you're controlling when the loop stops and starts by effects if you're playing live, or if you're using other digital software, you can program it, but it's basically a phrase or passage of music is being played, or not even music, sound is being played, and then it repeats itself until you tell it to stop. And then you can start stacking and adding things, Next thing you know, you have this big thing. Yeah. And you're one person doing the thing.
That's amazing. Okay, we have a question from one of our younger patrons in the audience, age 6. He wants to know, how do you blend so many sounds together to make it sound like one sound?
Okay, so layering is very important. I wish I knew your name, but my 6-year-old friend, my new 6-year-old BFF, layering is very important. It's not any different than any other, even visual art form. A painter, they kind of layer certain colors to make it seem more realistic, to where you don't even see if there's other secondary or tertiary colors within it. So you just have to exercise your ears to really be kind of critical and think about, are things kind of balanced or things a little unbalanced? And if that's what you want, that's okay. But I try to mix things in to where they're a bit balanced, where you're not really quite sure who is doing what. Even in the 2 pieces that the musicians performed, I like to do a lot of cross voicing. I just think it's fun. I just think it's fun to cross voice, and you get to hear the different characters of each individual instrument, as opposed to, not. So I don't know if you all noticed or watched really, really closely, but on the remix, violin 2, cello, and viola all had an exact same line variously throughout the piece. And it's really fun to hear, like, ooh, these are the exact same notes, but they sound just a little bit different. I'm trailing off the question. My 6-year-old friend, you just got to use your ears. You can do it.
Thank you. Okay, another patron wonders if you yourself are a music teacher.
I am, but so I mostly do after school programming, and I'm an adjunct faculty member at COCA, which is the Center of Creative Arts. I teach voice and a little bit of like intro drama for like little tiny ones, 4 to like 7-year-olds. And I used to do private lessons, but COVID. and so yeah, like as far as a music teacher, I'm not in like some school district being a full-time music teacher. I'm the music teacher that comes into the classroom and gets the kids all crazy and then leaves you to deal with it. So right now I'm doing a program with the Sheldon Concert Hall and Galleries called SOLID, and SOLID stands for the Science of Learning Instrument Design, where I go into different classrooms across St. Louis for even elementary school through high school to not only teach students about the science of sound, but also to teach them how to be innovative and inventive while building their own personal instrument out of recycled materials, friends, household materials.
Wow, that sounds really fun. So maybe our 6-year-old new friend will be lucky enough to be one of the classrooms that you visit. We hope so, for their sake. The next question is really for Dana. If Dana can join you back in the front again. Dana, if you could speak on behalf of the musicians, how was it for them to perform and learn a piece that Syrhea made, and it being different than other works and a different kind of collaboration because she's an electronic musician?
So I missed the beginning of the question.
What was it like for the musicians to play this new kind of collaborative piece?
Well, I think we'll see if you can hear them. I think we can let them answer that question themselves, and just if it's not loud enough, just tell them to shout.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Did you hear the question? Okay. Anybody?
I mean, we do it fairly often, especially with chamber projects, and I think collaborating with ourselves and then having the wonderful input of the composer is just another advantage. And so it usually is a lot of fun, and we're honored to get the first crack at it. And I think that it's usually a mutual experience. I mean, everybody really enjoys it, and this was certainly no exception.
Yeah. And Syrhea provided for the musicians a track that we emailed out, so they were able to practice on their own. And even without her, they played. I think you did at rehearsal. You played as a group, they had a speaker and they played like some of the track that she had sent them. So they were able to actually practice along with the electronics a little bit before our first live rehearsal last weekend, where she came in. And I mean, it's a lot. I think the process is actually very similar to learning any piece of music that's set in front of us. It's exploring and trying and asking questions about the music and trying different things on the instrument. And then, of course, the joy of collaborating with the live composer is really fun part of playing new music, because you get to hear exactly what they think and what they want and ask them questions. And I think that it's always really a really cool experience.
One more question. How long have the musicians been practicing this piece to prepare for tonight's performance?
3 weeks, I think.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. So, I mean, Beauty Beneath, they've had, well, some of them have had for a while. Some are new to the piece, didn't play it the first time. So we have 2 people playing tonight that had not previously played Beauty Beneath, but I think we got the music out about 3 weeks ago, and we had the first rehearsal. They rehearsed on the 10th, I think, just the quintet, and then we brought Syrhea, joined us on the 18th, just last weekend.
What day is today?
We don't know the day of the week. We're musicians. We've totally lost track of the days of the week. We have no idea. So, but it was last just within a week. Yeah. So just under a week we bring, which is very typical.
Wow, that's so impressive. Well, that was our last question from the audience. I just want to thank you all so much for sharing your hard work and your talent and your dedication with our patrons at the library. And this was a true pleasure to present this to everybody at home. So thank you so much for joining in and watching tonight. We are recording this, so it will be available on YouTube, we hope, by Monday. So check out the St. Louis County Library's YouTube page if you want to send a link to a friend who maybe couldn't make it tonight. But thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come see
Bye,
us again.
everybody.